Welcome to yet another episode of Pause Talk. And today we have a very esteemed guest with us. And I'm very privileged and honored to have Squadron leader Toolika Rani with us today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's my pleasure to be talking to you. As I had told you earlier, I have been reading your poems, quite positive, very energizing indeed. So it's an absolute pleasure to be talking to you today.
Thank you so much for giving this honor here. And if I have to share few lines about Toolika Rani today, I will just share it before she introduces herself. She is a G20 brand ambassador of UP, ex-Indian Armed Air Force officer, mountaineer. She is an international motivational speaker and a Tedx speaker. She is an author, ambassador of India, Women Empowerment World Leader Summit, Ambassador SVEP, which is Vote Awareness of UP Government. And above all, a very humble and a beautiful human being. So welcome once again, Toolika. I will now request you to please introduce a little more about yourself for our viewers.
Thank you so much for joining me to your viewers also through this platform. As you have already briefed about me, I am an ex-Indian Air Force officer, a mountaineer, a motivational speaker, a writer, an assistant professor, and of course, the G20 brand ambassador for the state of Uttar Pradesh, the Department of Higher Education. So all these roles I combine in this one personality because I feel that life has so much to offer and we should not restrict ourselves to just one aspect of it. Neither should we carry the burdens of the past or the identity, one identity. So we shall, as a human being, evolve. And I was in the Indian Air Force from 2005 to 2015, 10 years service, plus 1 year tough, grueling training of the military. And I was an administrative officer there. My specialization was in air traffic controlling. In my last tenure, I was posted as an outdoor military training instructor in the Air Force Academy, Hyderabad, where I had the privilege to train hundreds of future officers. Most of them are now themselves squadron leaders, and it gives me immense pleasure to see them doing very well in their lives. It also includes the 3 first female fighter pilots of our country. So I'm really blessed that I had been a part of their journey in a very small contributive way by being their military training instructor. And as if we come towards mountaineering, I have climbed Everest in 2012, became the first woman from Uttar Pradesh to climb Mount Everest. Then in 2015, I climbed the Asia's highest volcano, Mount Nagpal in Iran, and became the first Indian woman to do so. In addition, I have done total 24 mountaineering and trekking expeditions in various countries all over the world, including Kilimanjaro and Alps in Russia. So this was about climbing. In the field of public speaking, I have done Tedx and have delivered more than 350 talks in various countries such as India, America, UK, Cyprus, Italy, Malaysia. And this is one of my passions. Speaking and writing are my passions since childhood. So I believe that through words, we can connect to people. And words have an immense power to motivate, to inspire, to change. As an author, I have written a book, Beyond That Wall, Redemption on Everest, which is about my Mount Everest climb. It is about transformation also, in addition to a very thrilling journey on Mount Everest. It's about how a person can transform oneself from within to be declared from a failure to a success. In the worldly terms, though in the course of our conversation, we might talk about what is failure and what is success and how do we redefine failure and success in our lives, in our children's lives. As a public person, I have been brand ambassador for the state of Uttar Pradesh twice, currently the G20 brand ambassador. And I have spoken, I've delivered more than 40 keynote addresses on G20, India's presidency, its significance, the role of youth, and the role of women in India's G20 presidency. So that's in brief about me. As a person, I'm quite explorative.
Oh my God, we can just go on and on and on. about you actually. But really, I just, as our whole topic is about pause, that is what we are advocating here now, that how women who take a pause in their life because of circumstances, and then that pause becomes sometimes a stop for them, and they don't come out of that pause, and then they live a very regretting life. They begrudge their life. They are not able to do justice to themselves. They are not able to take care of themselves, and they become a martyr for their family, and that leads to a lot of mental health problems also for them lately. And that is how they start to inversely affect their family. They had a different heart, but then because of their own health, the family suffers late. So I would like to ask you about your pause from a army officer, from an air force officer. How did you shift from being a mountaineer, and how that small pause in your mindset that I have to change this, how did that come about? Please enlighten us on that.
Gee. I think it is a very relevant question, and it happens in the lives of several women. Women specifically, it must be happening to men also if they take a break or if they redefine their career trajectory, but more specific to women because of the familial responsibilities. So I would say that, as a human being, we must take out some time for ourselves too, in whatever way it makes us feel alive, because every human being is born with a certain inclination, with certain likes, dislikes, hobbies. So if we do not find out time for those persuasions, I think this is when we start feeling that dejection. This is when we start feeling that hollowness within. It is all right to sacrifice ourselves for the people, but if we are not contented within, as you have said, it puts an adverse impact on the people we love. So it's important whether women are mothers or they are wives or in the role of daughters, they are taking care of somebody, their family members, but it's important still to find out a certain amount of time, even if it is 10 minutes or half an hour, for themselves. It's just their time. And do whatever makes you feel alive as a human being, not as an appendix to anybody else. Because all of us are individuals too. In addition to being a social creature, every human being has been born as an individual entity in this world, and somewhere we need to fulfill ourselves as an individual. This is the basis of our Indian philosophy too, if I must say
Absolutely.
this. Because
Absolutely.
Aham Brahmasmi, I am the universe,
Yeah.
it has multiple meanings for me. It also has a meaning that the entire universe is within me. So I need to nurture this universe. So I need to nurture myself first, and then only I'll be able to give something to somebody. If we take an example of a mother has to nourish herself first in order to be able to nourish the baby. It is the
Absolutely.
same not only with the bodies, but also with the minds, with the souls, and the hearts. Now, coming to a professional reconfiguration, because we have to take a pause somewhere, and there might be a gap in your professional career, and then after that you might be feeling that you have lagged behind your other counterparts. So there, do not compare yourself with somebody. I think that's very important in this life. A lot of frustration happens when we compare ourselves with other people. Their
Yes.
situations, their pains are different. Most of the times we only see people's achievements, we only see their happiness. Sometimes it might be projected, because as social beings, I think we all have been told to put certain kind of mask on ourselves when we go outside, step outside in the world. And when we look at the people outside in a professional environment, we need to remember we are only seeing a fraction of truth. The truth
Absolutely.
is somewhere beneath. The truth is somewhere too far, too wide for us to grasp in that small encounter with people. So do not compare yourself with them, because you never know what are their lives actually. So
Yes.
one has to accept that we have a certain trajectory to our lives. We have a certain pace. Our own pace is important. See, I have
Right.
been a mountaineer, and I would love to tell here that on a mountain, nobody races.
Yes.
Nobody, because we all have our own particular paces to climb, and we still climb. Somebody might be climbing 1 hour ahead of us. That doesn't matter. All that matters is that we climb. So it is important to identify your rhythm in life, your pace in life, and continue with that. What we have, our gains, our losses, are very specific. And all it takes is human will to reconfigure our lives. Human beings have immense capacity to rebuild their lives. If we take an example of a pandemic like COVID, we have built our lives again. We take the cases of natural disasters happening. Human beings have a history of rebuilding their lives from the ashes. So I think in our individual spaces also, we can rebuild with hope, with hard work, with perseverance, and with non-comparing.
Absolutely wonderful. So wonderful. Taking away non-comparing, we should not be comparing ourselves. Everybody has their own pace. You have your own trajectory. I can share a small, again, episode from my life also here about the pace, because when I started walk in KBR Park, which is very botanical garden near my house, though I've been living here for a long time, but still because of children's morning hours of rushing to the school, I couldn't take out time. And when I started to go there, I was thinking that, okay, my God, somebody is walking ahead of me. I tried to race and go ahead, but it couldn't happen because there was somebody else who was again walking ahead of me. So that was a very big lesson for me, that anybody who enters the park, we all enter at different times. So there will be always somebody who will be ahead of me. How can I compare myself to that person who is ahead of me? I need to have my own pace and enjoy that. Okay, now I am in the park to have my morning walk. Enjoy that and not compare myself and only focus on who is walking in front of me. So that is absolutely what you are saying about monitoring also. Yes, we all in our life also are starting at different times, so we need not compare ourselves to anybody around us. So
There's
coming
one
to
thing here.
yeah, please.
We have different phases of life. At a particular time, we cannot have everything. So we ourselves take decisions to prioritize a certain things. So at particular time, it might be a family. At a particular time, it might be a small child. And at another point of time, it might be our career. So we have to understand this, that at one time, we are focusing on one thing. And that one thing we must be cherishing at that particular moment. What happens is we are not in the moment. We are not whatever we are with at that point of time. That is the problem, actually. The problem is not anything else. If we are with a person, we might be thinking about somebody else at that particular time. That's the problem. We are not enjoying the company of that particular person at that time. We are not enjoying the place we are in. We are not enjoying the work we are in. We have to remember that this moment, wherever we are, whatever we are doing, is not going to happen again. So rather cherish this present moment before moving on to something else in our lives. I would tell you an instance here. After retiring from the forces in December 2015, it was a gap of 7 long years before I started my official job, per se. So right now I'm an assistant professor of history, but it has been a gap of 7 years. And you may understand as to what happens for a working person, for a very dynamic person, to be at home for 7 long years, because I made a choice. It was not a lack of work, but it was a choice, thought after choice, that I would take only a specific kind of work which suits my inclination. So for that matter, whatever a person might say about us is a reflection of their own thinking, firstly. And also, they are speaking those statements because they are not fully aware neither of our situations nor of our thought process. So it is not important to explain everything to everybody. If we have decided something, we know the path. We know it is going to take some time. And we know that we have to walk. By mountaineering also, I have learned this. That to climb a mountain, it takes a long time. And during that long time, we have to take small steps, persevering in the hope that one day these steps are going to finish. But we are making progress. It's important to remind ourselves we are certainly making progress. We might not be yet there,
Yeah.
So in between, yes, I was doing other jobs. In the jobs by jobs, I mean to say, I was doing other tasks. Like
Hmm.
I was connecting with the public through being
Hmm.
a brand ambassador. I was delivering motivational talks. I was writing books. I was
Hmm.
writing poetry, and also waiting for the time when I would take that particular kind of a professional work, which I
Hmm.
actually wanted. So
Hmm.
if we talk about this hiatus, this gap in the professional career, I think it happens to a lot of people. The reasons
Yes.
might differ, but
Right.
it's important to have that clarity in our own minds.
Hmm.
The problem is not that others might make us feel guilty. The problem
Hmm.
is that we ourselves feel guilty somewhere.
Yes.
That
Yes.
clarity is very important. If
Hmm.
we are clear in our conviction, in our purpose, in our reasons, nobody else on this earth can make us feel guilty or make us feel inferior or anything. Just keep on moving at your own pace, own time.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is so wonderful. So again, coming back to whatever the takeaways now in this session is about, that we don't have to compare ourselves. We have our own pace, reiterating again these very, very important points. And that everybody has a different phase. Every phase of your life, you have a different task. You are a different person at different time of your life, but how you enjoy, how you savor those moments in your life, that is important. So if you are on a pause, don't worry, because you need to take those small steps. That pause is not a stop, it is a time for you to build up that energy inside, so that when the right time comes, you are there to unleash your potential, as Tulika has done. She has started her main job now as assistant professor for history, but meanwhile, in those 7 years, she was not just sitting and waiting for this job. She was building on her own self. She was also bonding with all of the people around her. So these are the things which we can do when we are in that pause stage. So this is so wonderful, Tulika. I'm sure all the people who are hearing will be really, really enlightened to what your journey was and how you can really inspire so many women to not to give up on themselves. That is the most important thing, and not to be I must say, deterred by people's thoughts. You can decide for yourself. You know your thoughts, you know your heart, so you don't have to explain it to somebody else. And as we end our talk, I will, if you have something more, please share before you can share a message to all the people, because we really cherish every word that you say.
Well, I would say one more thing. Whenever there are moments when you feel down, what I do, I'll share here. In those moments, I always look towards nature,
Hmm.
because we are a part of nature as human beings, and nature has all the lessons, everything, every warmth, every value that we shall seek to live a life contented and in a dignified manner, purposeful life. I look at the sunset and sunrises a lot.
Hmm.
Since childhood, I have been doing this. And I have derived this lesson from there, that there is a night, of course. There is a night in the cycle of the nature itself.
Hmm.
But after the night, there is always a dawn. There is
Hmm.
always this beautiful morning that comes. The weather changes, and after an autumn, after a very cold season, we always have the spring coming back.
Hmm.
So we must go to the nature back. No, even if we have one plant somewhere nearby, and I'm sure that everyone has at least a plant somewhere nearby, if not in their house, must look at that. Must look
Hmm.
at that surviving in all the weathers, different kind of
Right.
climates. Learn
Hmm.
from these plants how to survive. It is very important when there is a winter in our life how to survive.
Yes.
And with that hope that the spring is nearby, the spring will certainly come, and it does come. If we
Yes.
introspect and if we look back at our own lives, we would find that there have been times when we thought that it is just over. In my mountaineering, when I was climbing the Mount Everest, in my first attempt, I could not make it to the summit in
Hmm.
2011. And
Hmm.
some other people from my team had climbed to the top. Then I decided to do it again in 2012. The next year itself was a
Hmm.
very unconventional decision to go on an individual expedition.
Hmm.
And after a lot of life and death events, there were certain moments when I thought that I have put whatever I had in my life at stake for this mountain. And now this expedition is going to be over, perhaps. But what I didn't lose was my faith in myself and hope. And it might sound like a cliche, but it is not. It happens. Whatever we think, whatever we project in this universe does attract that kind of an energy, does open up the paths for us, in a very surprising manner sometimes, in a very pleasant manner sometimes. So if we look back, we would find that certain events that we might be saying were not good for us at that particular moment turned out to be the stepping stones for something really beautiful in our lives, turned out to be opportunities in the garb of adversity. So that's how we have to have this faith on ourselves, on God, on nature, or the energy. The name might be anything, but we have to have this kind of a faith in life itself. Because human beings are alive, and if human beings are alive on this earth, they have the capacity to change their circumstances for the better. Change never comes overnight, because a lot of women listening to you might be mothers, and they might be knowing that when they gave birth to their children, it happened over a period of 9 long months. 9 long months. And after those sufferings, a beautiful baby was born. So life is like this. It might make you suffer for 9 long months, but something beautiful might be coming out of it. Absolutely. So with that kind of a hope, I think we have to perceive life.
Yes, absolutely. So wonderful. Because once you have thought something, once you have really want from your heart, कहते हैं ना शिद्दत से जो चाहो वो कायनात भी मिल जाती है आपको देने के लिए. So that is the kind of जुनून, that is the kind of शिद्दत you should have. That is the kind of the aspiration should be so high that it really starts to manifest in your environment. But obviously you have to work hard for it also. It is not something will just come out without working hard, without efforts. Your efforts are very, very important, whatever you have to do, even if it is a small task, and do it with a lot of joy. That is what I always tell, that when we do something very joyously, it really happens, because you want yourself to be happy and you want others to be happy. So that is the whole purpose of the pause talk also, to really bring out all the women here who really need that voice, who would have been inside that cocoon, but they need that voice now to inspire other women to come here. And that is what you have done today, Toolika, that you have really inspired and stirred that mindset of so many women who will be listening to you from now, and they will be really inspired to take that one step, to climb that mountain of their own lives and be at the summit, and then shout from there that I have won. So that was really, really wonderful. One last one-line message for our viewers.
I would say live life. Live life.
Wow.
Live life in the sense that there is this moment which is never going to come back. If we are with our children, we must cherish their smiles. We must cherish their company. If we are doing a particular work, we must enjoy that work. However we look, because that is also an issue with the women. Nowadays, in this world of the digital atmosphere, a lot of comparison is being done about the appearances. So I still believe that what you looked at 20s, you do not look at 30s. And at 30s, you look back and say, oh, I look so beautiful at the 20s. While at 20s, we were thinking, oh, I have pimples perhaps. So we have to remember this, that this age is going further. What we have today might not be there tomorrow. This is a very powerful thought. What we have today might not be there tomorrow. When we are aware of the impermanence of things, we cherish them more. Absolutely. Life is only now. It might not be tomorrow. Your loved beings might not be there tomorrow. Your work, what you're doing, might not be what it is today. So while we are in a particular situation, at a particular place and with people, cherish their presence, cherish their company, the process. And if we want to better our prospects, continue working with it with an understanding that it would come with time. Nothing happens overnight. With perseverance, with hope, with faith, जैसा कि हमारे फिलॉसफी में कहते हैं, भारतीय फिलॉसफी में ज्ञान, भक्ति और कर्म का जब संयोग होता है, तभी एक पूर्ण रूप से कोई कार्य सफल हो पाता है. So it is about gathering knowledge, having devotion and faith, and having that action. So when
Yes,
these three combine, knowledge, devotion, and action, then things happen.
absolutely. So wonderful. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you here. So, viewers, it was a treat to have Toolika on our show, which is Pause Talk. And I take this opportunity again to invite any one of you who are there listening to this talk. If you can also come here and share your story, you can just DM me and I will reach out to you, and you can be the next guest on our talk. Thank you so much, Toolika. It was really wonderful to have you. Namaste.
Namaskar.